Well, so if you look at the guidelines for fraud, I guess I can do this. I'm streaming a little bit, so if you want to watch that, let me get you the...
I think I'm listening to the expert, yes.
Let me get you the sentencing guidelines. Okay, so if we wanted to play bingo, take a look at my live stream and I'll help you out, because I did this calculation myself for, I don't know, days, weeks, months, because it's like, it all hinges on how you interpret adding these numbers up, okay?
Well, Martin, I can also add another one. I could moderate your live stream.
Well, I'm streaming right now, so let me just oh, Jesus Christ. So anyway, the first thing you do is you have 7. So 7 points for basically any kind of financial fraud. So that's kind of the start. The next is the loss amount. So he actually gets 30 more points because of that. So you're up to 37. That's already pretty close to life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you talking points as in years in jail?
No. So this is points. I'll show you how that you convert the points in a second. So for me, I had 7, and then they added 16, I think. And or 18 or 20. I was trying to argue that I had no loss, so it should just stay at 7, because I didn't have any investors that lost money. But it was, they made an argument that the judge bought that was 16 or 18 additional points, and you'll see how the points play in a second. All right, so we're just in step 1 because he's already got 37 points in step 1. Step 2: apply the greatest of the 3. Did it involve 10 or more victims? If so, increase by 2 levels. So in his case, it's yes, right? Did it involve substantial financial hardship to 5 or more victims? Yes. So we're up to 4 now. And C, did it result in financial hardship to 25 or more victims? So yeah, that's 6 extra points. So now we're up to 7 and 30 is 37 and 6 is 43. If the offense involved a theft from the person of another, increased by 2. So that's a physical, give me that theft. So that does not apply here. That's the only thing that's going to not apply here. Number 4, if the theft involved stolen property and he was in the business of receiving and selling stolen property, add 2. So that doesn't count either. So now we're on 37? 43, right? We're still on 43.
It's all irrelevant, but yeah.
All right.
Gotcha.
If the defendant was convicted, this is not irrelevant at all. This is the sentencing guidelines. These used to be mandatory.
Sorry, I mean relative to SPF's sentencing. Yes, this is all irrelevant. But
why would you say that?
Why
would you say that?
Future criminals.
Why would you say it's irrelevant?
Relative to future criminals, yes, this is relevant.
Why is it irrelevant?
See what I mean?
Why is it irrelevant to SPF? This is literally what the judge, prosecutors, everyone's gonna...
Oh, because he's already in prison for life. That's it. Yeah, everything else.
He hasn't been sentenced yet.
Nah.
Well, based on this criteria, he's done.
No, you haven't looked at the... Yeah, wait till you still have to add it all up and then look at a few things. Let me show you.
Okay.
Keep going, Martin. Keep going, Martin.
Number 5 is theft of property from a national cemetery or veterans memorial. Now, I don't think he's applicable here, but I think it's possible. They could construe it if a cemetery had a account with FTX. They could add those 2 points. So I'm just saying, let's maybe put that as an asterisk. We're at 43 right now.
Like a pension fund, right?
Well, it says National Cemetery or Veterans Memorial. I'm just saying.
I think he'd get away with this.
All right, number 6.
I just stumbled upon a pretty juicy conversation.
All right. Number 6. If the defendant was...
Shut up.
was convicted
Fucked up, Bill.
under 18 USC 1037, which I don't know what that is. It's fraud in connection to email. So that's a tough one. I doubt it. We'll skip 6. All right, a federal healthcare offense. That's 7. All right, conduct in 670. I think 670 is some weird thing, medical products, so that doesn't count. Number 9, misrepresentation on behalf of a charitable organization. Misrepresentation during the course of a bankruptcy proceeding. They probably nail them on that. Violation of any prior specific order. Misrepresentation to a consumer for furnishing
That's for sure.
for furnishing financial assistance in connection with obtaining, providing, furnishing financial assistance for institution of higher education.
I don't think
So
they're going to get him on. They're not going to get him on misrepresentation.
I don't think that we'll be adding these two. So we're still at 43, I think.
Well, no, I just want to hop in here and say he's not gonna go down for the misrepresentation of charitable organization.
What?
Yeah. So the way that charitable organizations actually structure.
I can't even hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, just give
Bro,
me a minute.
you're so
just
loud.
give me a minute to finish this. Okay.
All right, continue.
So number 10, if the defendant, this is a good one. This is crazy. It's only 2 levels, but it's really funny. And I actually got caught with this on element C, but element A is if the defendant relocated or participated in relocating a fraudulent scheme to another jurisdiction to evade law enforcement or regulatory officials while he was in the Bahamas from Hong Kong. A substantial part of the scheme was committed from outside the U.S., or, and this is what got me, is that the offense otherwise involved sophisticated means. Sophisticated means they give to everybody, so that's 45. Number 11, the possession of any device-making equipment, auth feature, trafficking unauthorized access, counterfeit fraud device, any use of identification, illegal ID, so no. If the offense involved 1040, I don't know what 1040 is, let's see. 1040 is fraud connected to a disaster like Hurricane Katrina, so that's no. 13, if you're convicted under 408, 111, or something else, I will skip that one. Number 14, misappropriation of a trade secret, I would say no. Or that the offense would benefit a foreign government. You could argue that that's the case. 15, an organized scheme to steal vehicle parts, no. If the offense involved conscious or reckless risk of death or bodily harm or a dangerous weapon, I would say no. Okay, this is a good one. 17, apply. The defendant derived more than $1 million from one or more financial institutions as a result of the offense. No, it's so much better than that. B, the substantial...
I disagree. He had non-bank lenders and venture capitalists, not necessarily those are financial
Well,
institutions.
we don't know. I'm guessing some bank gave him some money, but B is even better. The offense substantially jeopardized the safety and soundness of a financial institution, substantially endangered the solvency and financial security of an organization, or was a publicly traded company or more than 1,000
He
employees.
definitely did that.
I'm giving B. For sure.
Yeah, so the issue is that the
you're
organization
going to be quiet.
jeopardizes
You're going to be quiet now. Good. There we go. Thank you. All right. So now we're up to 47 points. All right. Intent to obtain personal information. I'm going to skip that. Was he convicted under the offense involved a computer system used to maintain critical infrastructure? We'll leave that alone. 20, a violation of securities laws, and the defendant was an officer of a publicly traded company, registered broker-dealer. I think they were a registered broker-dealer. Or an investment advisor. I think they may have been that. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He's at 45 points. No firearms or explosives. Okay, so now we've got the total amount of points, and they give you some details here if you're confused. But we're going to go with, relatively speaking, 45 points. So we're going to go with criminal, sentencing, guidelines, points chart. So I looked at this sentencing table.
Mute yourself, Millworm.
Again and again. Yeah, that'd be good. I'll mute him. Yeah, okay. So this is the sentencing table, and this is what I looked at
Thank you.
and stared at like my entire time I was in prison. And right now Sam is going to be looking at this and staring at this as well, because this table sucks. So you start in zone A. This is literally the number of points we're talking about, right? And this is the number of months. So Sam's criminal history is 1. He's in column 1. So he is not getting anything less than what? We say 40-ish points. So he's not eligible for 0 to 6 months. He's not eligible for around a year in prison. He's not eligible for 2 years in prison, or 3, or 5. He is at least 45 points, right? Well, 30 points gets you around 10 years. 35 points gets you around 15 years. 40 points is roughly 30 years. 43 points is life. So that's kind of where he's at.
So he's in between a rock and a hard place, huh?
Yeah, I would say that. Now, one of the good things that you can do, so these guidelines used to be mandatory. Now they're somewhat they're so-called advisory. Booker v. U.S. v. Booker, I want to say, made them advisory. Thank you, by the way, Rasik Morani, for your very generous donation that supports the stream. So he did 43 or more points. I think there's no doubt about that. The judges understand that some of these points kind of double count. Like, all fraud is arguably sophisticated means, right? Like, there's no fraud that doesn't involve sophisticated means, right? That's kind of the whole point of fraud, is it's sort of sophisticated. I mean, you could have an unsophisticated fraud, I suppose, right? But in general, that's sort of the way it works.
Yeah.
So there are some judges. So my judge was considered a very good judge. My lawyer said it. My opponents said it. My prosecutors. They said Martin got a good draw. So if you draw the right prosecutor, you can win big. I'm sorry, the right judge, you can win big. The prosecutor kind of doesn't matter. They're mostly unskilled, kind of regardless. Occasionally you'll have a star prosecutor, but most of these people are never going to be real trial attorneys that are any good. And I'm not saying that to disparage any specific person or anything like that. I'm just saying it's rare to be a great trial attorney. So it's just sort of part of the game. It's usually some 30-year-old person, a couple of years out of law school. They don't know what the hell's going on, and it's so easy to win these cases that it doesn't take much. Now, this is a big case, so if it goes to trial, you better believe they're going to put in their best person. So each judge is different, and that's the funny thing about this, is that that's the biggest crapshoot by far. So I could see the judge giving as much as a 50% discount. That's kind of the biggest they give. They will get, just to be clear, the judge can do literally whatever they want. They could sentence him to 1 day in prison. They could sentence him to life. Either way. And there's no real way to challenge that. Once that's set, the appeals court will almost never reverse a sentencing decision. It is almost impossible to reverse a sentencing decision. It has to be such a wild, inappropriate sentence. And given in this circumstance, kind of anything goes, I don't think there's any chance you get a do-over. You get one shot at sentencing here with one judge. And every time you do something stupid, in my case, I did a lot of things stupid, you hurt you kind of hurt yourself in the eyes of that judge, and you have to be really, really smart about what you say, how you say it, what you do, and you certainly, the bad things in your past, everything will come up. So you certainly don't want that. Now, no judge goes above guidelines. Now, the problem with Sam here is that you can't go above the guidelines. Above guidelines for him is a double life sentence or something like that, right? So, he has to get a discount. The only question is, what's the discount? Like I said, I've seen as much as 50%, but in the case of fraud, more and more, I've seen very little discounting. Sometimes 10, 20, 30% discount. It also depends on what the judge feels the guidelines should be. Sometimes the judge will kind of do an adjusted, mixed kind of guideline. sentence. So I'm guessing he's going to get something in this higher end, but is spared life. Although if he gets the wrong judge, so let's look at the bench. It's complicated. I'll go through each judge real quick. Let's see if they're... Each judge has and I should be probably pretty careful about what I say about these people. All right. Each judge has their own reputation, and you can actually look that up. All right, so here are the current judges in the Southern District. I'm eyeballing this now. Rakoff is the judge you want. So if you get Judge Rakoff, this guy's going home. He's not going home that quickly, but he could conceivably get 5 to 10 years if he draws Rakoff. So this is for all the marbles. If he gets Rakoff, Rakoff's known to be the nicest guy in that building. You cannot go wrong with Rakoff. He sentenced a lot of people. For example, he sentenced Charlie Shrem, who was the first Bitcoin felon, to just a year and a day or 18 months. Judge Rakoff is the nicest guy in this building. And the alternative, if he gets Judge Preska, he gets life. Judge Preska is not a nice person.
Damn.
A fair judge, don't get me wrong, but not somebody that is going to play his bullshit. Judge Rakoff will listen to it a bit. Caproni's also on the harsher side. Buchwald's on the harsher side. I've dealt with a lot of these people in civil cases, including Judge Ramos. Judge Ramos is fairly good. So each judge has their own perspective. A younger judge is going to be very afraid of bucking the trend, right? A younger judge will go very close to guidelines. An older judge, like a Rakoff or others, I have specific dealings with one judge in here who I won't mention, who I'm in an active case with, so I'll not mention that judge, but an older judge would be willing, based on their experience, to depart from the guidelines. Usually you don't depart upwards, right? So they'll usually depart downwards. And so I think there are judges that would depart downwards in this case. Southern is not the greatest district for sweethearts. There aren't a lot of sweethearts in Southern District. It is the most prestigious district in the entire U.S. court system. It is Manhattan. New York City, the center of the world to some people. So these judges, I've heard good things about Judge Castle. They had a judge named Judge Forrest, who is the Widowmaker. One of my lawyers referred to her as a Nazi. She was the only judge in the whole bench, in fact, the only judge I know in the entire system that would give above guideline sentences. A lot of these judges are new. Some of these are new appointees. I don't know every one of them. Judge Nathan is not so bad, actually. I've dealt with Judge Nathan. She was very fair, very thoughtful. Don't know how she sentences. There are some judges that work in some ways civilly and then they change their disposition in the criminal cases. So anyway, it'll be quite interesting to see who he gets. Now, when you have a multiple person indictment, which this will become, there will be more people indicted here, possibly as many as 10 or 15 or more. Those people will get the same judge. Why? Because the judge gets the whole total understanding of the case, and the judge says, after looking at all this, I think Trabucco did this, Ellison did that, and Bankman did that. And the real mastermind is, well, it's probably Bankman, right? But in the case that we got this all wrong and the real mastermind was somebody else, that will come to light in the trial. So the judge gets to say, well, I'll give you 10 years, I'll give you 10 years, I'll give you 30 years, I'll give you, et cetera, et cetera. So the judge has technically been decided, but this is a great question. Somebody said, how do you know, when are we going to know who the judge is? Very tricky question. And how do they decide? Well, it's supposed to be random. It's supposed to be random, but it's not always random. It really, they swear up and down that it's random. But in the Eastern District, like I said, I was the biggest case in many years. I got the best judge, or the second best judge, they said. But in the Southern District, for my Federal Trade Commission case, I got the worst judge. And I can't think that was random. As I talked to my attorneys, they agree it was the most outlandish decision that judge gave, and that we're going to win on this appeal. And there's no, to Boomer's point here, there is no verifiable randomness. It is trust us. It's random. And we know that New York has very screwy politics. It's very personal. It's very political. And it's hard to believe that randomness is 100% the case, right? So that's a good question. Pennywise asks, where is SBF going to prison? Well, right now he's in the Bahamas. I can tell you from experience that as soon as he's extradited, he'll land in either MCC or MDC. Neither are places Sam Bankman wants to be. Having said that, it will be fairly lit for him. Why do I say that? Well, he's a celebrity. He's going to be in the Manhattan Detention Center the Metropolitan Detention Center or the Manhattan Correctional Center. The shoe is not bad in MDC. The shoe is bad in MCC. Epstein was in the shoe in MCC. But the shoe is bad no matter where you're at because you're just not around people. But I can tell you if Bankman makes it to the 5th floor, the legendary 5th floor of the NBC, which is where I stayed, he's going to be all right. He's going to be surrounded by thugs, wannabe rappers, Mexican Mafia, MS-13, Italian Mafia,
Perfect.
Bloods and
Friendly
Crips,
bunch.
other white-collar criminals, child sex offenders, etc.